Hey there, Kristin Davis here. I am beyond excited to take you on a journey in this hidden gems segment of the IHM Senior Living Community. We have some special guests today that are going to take us from the history of its very start of this place all the way to what's happening currently and some really cool things yet to come. Our very first guest is Jennifer Meacham. She's an archivist director here at the IHM and knows everything from start to finish on what's happened here. She's going to show us a little sneak peek of the chapel, which is also considered the heart of the Mother House. Come with me, you're in for a treat. So Jennifer, I cannot tell you how excited I am for this part of the tour. Right behind these doors right here is the chapel, which I have heard is the heart of the Mother House, or lovingly, called the heart of the Mother House.
Yes,
even
absolutely.
like these doors behind us have a history, right?
Absolutely. Every piece of the chapel has a history, from the doors you walk in that are made with black wood from a Bavarian forest. Everything really is special about the chapel, and it means so very much to the sisters and the residents here at the Mother House.
Well, I am so excited. Why don't you lead the way, and let's
I'm excited to show it to you.
See what this is about.
Come on in.
Oh my goodness.
Not exactly what you might picture when you say the word chapel, but it is referred to that way because it's attached to the larger building.
It's a little big.
It's a little big for a chapel, absolutely. But
wow.
Yeah, it does seat about 900, between 900 and 1,000.
You said everything has a story in here.
Well,
I mean, where do you start?
I think with the construction of the chapel itself. As you may know, the larger Mother House was built in 1932.
Okay.
At that time, the sisters didn't have the funds to build their chapel.
Okay.
The initial plan was to actually have it as a separate building, but later they decided they wanted it to be physically a part of the Mother House. And also that would be more convenient, especially for the older sisters who might be in what they used to call the infirmary. And so they decided to build it here in almost the center physically of the Mother House. And so the construction on this started in 1938.
Okay.
So a few years after the Mother House was built. They broke ground for it in 1938, and it took a couple of years to build. And some of the most interesting things about the chapel, I think the first thing that people are drawn to would, of course, be the stained glass windows.
They're gorgeous.
And they're
so
absolutely
gorgeous.
spectacular. And more than just the color and the symbolism, there's a story. And of course, what they wanted were the best and most beautiful stained glass windows. The artisans to make the best stained glass windows at that time were to be found in Germany. And they were on their way here, and literally World War II broke out.
I was going to say that date, when you mentioned that date, I'm like,
It was
Germany,
it was
yeah.
very tricky. It was very tricky. So, however, the rest of the windows had to be made here in the U.S. It was a sort of related company, but they could not have anything sent from Germany, obviously,
Right.
for those years. I don't want to move on to anything else until you take a look at the windows in the transept, the east and west transept here.
Okay.
Because of course, like any traditional chapel, this is laid out in a cross. And so here we got what's called the rose windows, and these are personally my favorite.
Wow.
Each of the round windows has 1,000 pieces, small pieces of glass
Oh my
in it.
gosh.
The other thing I think is wonderful about the objects in the chapel is how many of the things in here came from the old Mother House chapel. So when I say old Mother House, I just mean at like where the Custer statue is here in Monroe, on the corner of Elm and Monroe, across from St. Mary Church. That area is where the old Mother House used to be.
Okay.
And that was constructed between 1860 and 1900. So, for instance, the altar and all of the statuary in here dates back to 1890 to 1898. Wow. And all of them were moved from the old Mother House to here.
Now, what happened to the old Mother House?
It was eventually torn down.
Okay.
But the reason that they moved out of it was because the Girls' Academy, which was across the street where St. Mary Catholic Central is now,
Sure.
that burned down in 1929.
I heard there was a fire.
Right.
Okay.
So when the boarding school burned down, the Mother House was okay, but this is 1929, and they had started building it in the 1860s.
Sure.
It was very much falling apart.
Yes.
And so they decided if they were going to build a new Girls' Academy, they should just start from scratch and build a new Mother House. The good thing was they already owned this land. They had started acquiring the land around here for farming starting around 1902.
Wow.
So they didn't have to buy any more land. They just had to.
It was ready to go.
Exactly.
Just needed to build.
Yeah, they just had to build this very large
Just
structure.
put this together.
Exactly.
You know, easy
exactly.
peasy.
Right. So of course there's liturgy and Sunday Mass that takes place in here, but a lot more. The funerals for sisters when they pass take place in here. There's area in the back for the sisters to come in and view the body and say their final goodbyes and their final blessings. When a sister takes her vows, there's a big ceremony in here. I've actually participated, in
so
that,
special.
and it's really amazing. It's such a joyous occasion. And then every July they have Jubilee, which is a celebration of sisters who have served as IHMs for 50, 60, 70. There have even been 75 and 80 years.
Oh my
Sisters
goodness.
celebrating that, and that happens in here. Any given time on a random Tuesday afternoon, you could peek in here and see 1, 2, 3 sisters and maybe even a few people from the community coming in and just sitting in just quiet contemplative prayer.
Now, is this open to the public? Like someone can come in and just pray?
It is. Any of our guests, even before there was lockdown and COVID and stuff, any of the Mother House guests will of course have to check in. But Sunday services are open to the public.
So one of the big things, other than, all the gorgeous things in here that caught my eye, was the organ. My grandpa actually built organs.
Oh,
He did the
wow.
woodwork, like the pipes. So that really attracted me. Can you tell me about that?
I think I can tell you a little bit about it. The chapel organ was built by a company out of Quebec, Cassavant Frères, Cassavant Brothers, and it was built for this space, in this space.
Wow.
It was physically constructed in,
So they brought everything here in pieces
Yes.
and put it together.
yes, and built it up there. Has 5,000 pipes. The sound is spectacular.
Wow. So now, correct me if this is wrong.
Okay.
We're standing in the heritage room,
That's
correct?
correct.
So this is by the archives,
Yes.
but not considered the archives.
No, the archives is actual storage area
So
where we
not
have
very fancy.
No, 177 years worth of records, photos, and yes.
Got you. So here, though, this was kind of set up in a way to show the homes throughout the years of like how the mother house started and how it's evolved.
Exactly.
Right.
This space here, our heritage room, is devoted to telling the story of the places that the IHM sisters have called home since their founding in 1845. And what's interesting is it's actually geographically a very small space. It's always, the IHM sisters have always been on Elm Avenue, starting from just a little log cabin in 1845 when there were just 3 sisters. And they welcomed a small group of young women to teach them in the very first St. Mary Academy. And over time, they were able to build a larger structure, something that actually wasn't made of logs, where they could build their own convent and then expand and have more students. The real construction, when they first started having actual brick buildings, I think of it in terms of sort of the 3 Little Pigs and the wolf.
Right.
They finally built something that
Wasn't gonna blow over.
exactly that was going to stand strong. And that construction took place as they had the money. They would add on as they had the funds to do so. And that started around 1868 and continued through the turn of the century. And the large complex that they continued to build had the mother house, it had the St. Mary Academy, and then all the novices, the young nuns would study there in the mother house. Plus they would also have an infirmary for the aging and ill sisters.
Yeah.
And given the time, they even had a special wing for those suffering from tuberculosis.
Oh, okay.
So they built what they needed, when they needed, and when they had the funds for it.
Wow.
Over time, they had so many students that they had to build a completely separate St. Mary Academy. And that was built across the street, across Elm Avenue, next to St. Mary Church. And that was built in 1904. And that was the first time the students had their own separate building. And unfortunately, that building burnt down in 1929. What was amazing and very fortunate was that there were no injuries, no deaths, but the building was a complete loss. One of the things that I think is very precious here in our collection is the only book that was pulled from the bricks and ashes afterwards.
Wow.
And we actually have that sort of burnt, waterlogged book in a case here on display.
Wow.
Just as a sort of, remembering,
Sure.
of everything that was lost, but everything that could have been.
Sure.
So everything, had to be rebuilt. And of course, they decided to rebuild the academy on this land and a brand new mother house. In addition to the physical buildings, there's, the land itself. The mother house, it's more like a complex.
Mm-hmm.
And in addition to the mother house itself, there was the St. Mary Academy. There was the Hall of the Divine Child, which is now Norman Towers.
Mm-hmm.
But in addition to that, sisters also owned many acres of farmland.
Wow.
And it was not for profit. It was to feed. It fed the
Sure.
sisters. It fed the students. It fed students in Detroit. At various schools, sisters at convents, and all these places around the Metro Detroit area.
So they were doing like farm to table before it was
Literally,
even
yes,
a
literally,
thing.
yes. And so we have some nice artifacts from the old farms, and what closes out the sort of line that we have here telling the story of their home is the story of their sister's final resting place, St. Mary Cemetery. And the sign that's over there actually says cemeteries. And that's because while there is a St. Mary Cemetery, and every sister throughout the history of the IHM is represented there, recognized there, they're not all actually laid to rest there. There's St. Joseph Cemetery, which is adjacent, but there are plaques there with the names of sisters who are in a different space, so it brings them all together. There was a chapel in the cemetery many years ago that had these beautiful stained glass windows, and between the weather and vandalism, it had to be torn down, I think back in the 1990s. One of those stained glass windows was preserved, and it's actually in the chapel in our memory care area here in the IHM senior living community. So that's really very special. One other thing I always want to say about the cemetery, there's a chapel out there devoted to Father Gillet, one of the co-founders of the congregation. It's a very long story, but at the end of his life, he ended up in France. And after he died, decades after he died, the sisters here really wanted his remains to be here with the community. And they managed to arrange that.
Wow.
In 1929. They managed to arrange through paper and pen correspondence to have his remains removed and sent on a ship, and then a train, and then so on, here to rest here with the rest of the community.
Big thing I've learned is you don't mess with the sisters. When they want something done, they get it done.
They find a way.
They do.
Yes, throughout history, they have been incredibly resourceful. Building during the Depression, going, up to their eyeballs in debt. I mean, this, from my understanding, is all of this, the mother house, everything that was built here in the early 30s, those loans were all paid off in the 1980s, but they were all paid off.
Yeah.
But that's what they did, on faith.
They took a chance, what they believed in.
Exactly, but they were also very trusted. The banks trusted them, the archdiocese trusted them, and they were able to do these things because they had come through so many other times.
Wow.
Yeah, and so this room, tells the story of sort of the extended space of their home, the physical spaces where they have stayed, the physical spaces that were St. Mary Academy, which they considered an extension of their home, because that was their whole reason for being from day one, was to educate young women. And so that first academy and so on, that's incorporated here into this story.
That's so incredible. I super appreciate you spending the time with us to let us pick that brain of yours that has so much information about this beautiful place, about the history starting from a log cabin with three sisters to what we have now is mind-blowing. But thank you so much, Jennifer, for your time, for the diligence you've put in the preparation of knowing this place from the covers, both sides. I really appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Kristin, it's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Jennifer just did an incredible job walking us through the 177 years of history here at the IHM, and that chapel is truly a gem unto its own. Another aspect that's very near and dear to the hearts of the sisters here at the IHM is ecological sustainability. Let's chat about that for a minute. Hello, how are you today, Danielle?
I'm great, thank you.
Awesome. Can you share with us and our viewers your position here at the IHM and just a little bit about what you do?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So my position here is a fun position. My title is the Director for the Sustainable Campus Planning Office.
Awesome.
So that includes quite a broad array of different
I would say so.
responsibilities.
Since, the campus itself is massive.
That's right, that's right.
It's a lot.
Yeah, so I started close to 25 years ago here as the project manager for the Mother House renovation.
Okay.
And when I heard about the vision for that and the opportunity to work on that, I just was, so captivated and found such a compelling vision of what the sisters wanted to do with their own home, with their campus. And so I was honored to be able to be invited to work on that.
That's incredible. 25 years.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes,
so you're like a veteran.
I guess so. Yeah. I think I'm a veteran here. Yeah.
So can you explain just a few, I know there's so many, but can you explain some of the bigger projects and some of the things that's really just kind of turned into a DNA here with that sustainability?
Yes, I'd be happy to. So the very first decision that the sisters made was their mother house wasn't meeting their needs anymore. And now it was needed to meet the aging sisters and healthcare needs, and so they decided that we have to do something about that. So the big decision was, are we going to build new, or should we renovate our mother house? So that was a lot of research, a lot of prayer, a lot of discernment, a lot of visiting other places, and they finally said, we're going to renovate this building. We had engineers come in and they said it's going to be good for another century. So they decided to do that, but they decided that they wanted to do it in a way that would have minimal impact on the earth.
Sure.
So they decided that it would be a green renovation. It actually is a LEED certified building,
Wow.
and they wanted to use green products. And one of the important things was reducing their dependence on renewable energy. On non-renewable energy.
Sure,
sorry.
sure.
And so they instructed the engineers and their design team to look into different options. So they explored hydro, they explored solar, wind, and finally decided that the best option was to do geothermal, which is a heating and cooling, using the earth as kind of a radiator to heat and cool their building. And so that was a big decision, a very important one, and a very happy result, because it not only reduced their dependence on non-renewable energy, it reduced their energy costs.
That's incredible. And can
Yes.
you, for our viewers' sake, because
Sure.
I did not know what that meant. Like I
Okay.
knew the idea of it, but I
Okay.
didn't know the depth of it. And you
Okay.
were kind of explaining a little bit of that to me,
Okay,
like with the
sure.
prairies and where it
Sure.
is. So can you explain what that
Yes,
looks like?
I'd be happy to. So what that means is that the earth is working as a radiator, so for the building, and the earth is about 55 feet down or a little bit more. It's always 55 degrees. And so what that means is that they drilled 240 boreholes into the ground, and then they connected those through piping, and they inserted a water into that system, and it comes into the building. So the earth is heating that water during the winter time. So when it comes in the building to heat the building, it only has to go, say, from 55 degrees to 72 degrees, because it's already at a warmer temperature.
Gotcha. Than what it would be at the surface.
Exactly. And then in the summertime, it takes the heat from the building and puts it back into the ground as a heat
cools
sink,
it.
and it cools the building.
How
So it's
clever.
really amazing. And so the geothermal fields where all these boreholes are now covered over by a parking lot and by prairies.
And
So
the
you-
prairies are the ones that are in the front when you
That's
can
right.
kind of see when
exactly.
you drive by.
Yes,
Okay.
they're the front prairies, and so that whole field, there are two fields, are invisible, but they perform this wonderful
There's a
function.
whole working system
Yeah,
underneath there.
It's amazing. When it was installed, it was probably one of the largest geothermal installations
That's
in the
incredible.
Midwest.
I just
Yeah.
thought that was so fascinating.
It is.
So I didn't mean to interrupt,
no.
but I thought it was so cool.
It is cool, and it is something that people had to learn about, because they thought, well, it's cold in the wintertime, but the earth remains a constant temperature.
So just take that and you only
Just- raise
raise a little bit, then having to
Exactly.
start.
Yeah,
Wow, that's
exactly.
incredible. And then you
So-
did something too with, was it a gray water system?
Yes, so the Sisters of Water, being in the Great Lakes State and being founded on the riverways and in that watershed, the sisters wanted to make sure that they were protecting water and reducing consumption. So what they installed is a gray water system. That is a system that has a double piping setup, and it goes from all the sinks and showers in the building
Okay.
on that separate piping system, is routed outside to a constructed wetland, which they built, which the engineers built. So the water goes into that wetland, it's processed through the wetland, and then it comes back into the building for flushing toilets. So the water's
Cool.
used twice.
Absolutely.
And it reduces their freshwater consumption by probably 50%.
And again, it's so amazing that they're doing, because this is such a large place.
Yes,
And there are
yes.
so many different, people in and out, and bathrooms, and I'm sure
Yeah.
you
We-
may not- do you have the number off the top of your head?
We installed 305 bathrooms.
Oh my gosh.
So we added all those bathrooms, so every sister had her own private bath in
Sure.
her room, and then other guest bathrooms and so on, and still reduced water consumption.
So 305 bathrooms,
Yes.
and you're like cutting that water usage in half.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
incredible.
It was phenomenal.
That's incredible.
It was a while to get people to understand what it meant and to get
Right, like
municipalities.
what water am I using?
Right, and also, how do we approve this in terms
Yeah.
of a zoning
Sure.
approval and so on? So it took some time educating all of the different parties that had to approve it, but they finally did.
Now, another thing, and we're sitting close to it, is the garden. Now, that's even
Yes.
something that the public can get involved with
Yes.
as well, correct?
This is the community garden.
Okay.
It is, in fact, they have a certified monarch way station here, but this is a garden area where the public can rent lots, different size lots, and come here and plant their garden for the summer. And it's a great opportunity for people to get outside, grow fresh food, be with others of like mind, and share recipes, tips on how to keep out certain critters that they don't want. So that has been here for a long time. They do use organic processes. It's not certified organic anymore, it was, but they still use all those kind of growing techniques to make sure it's an organic garden.
Very neat. And then even like some of the chefs will sometimes use that as like a farm to table for the sisters here.
Yes, exactly.
To eat.
Right, so they can, maybe some of the greens, some of the other vegetables, they can incorporate into the menu for the sisters in the mother house, so they can actually have that kind of produce right off of their own property.
So I know we've talked about like heating, we've talked about the organic food. What about, wasn't there something with DTE that you guys did?
Yes,
Okay.
this is great. We have a solar array on the campus.
Perfect.
518 kilowatts. It's
Wow.
part of DTE's solar current program. You may know this, but all utilities are required to have a certain percentage of their energy portfolio to be renewable. And so when they opened up the application process for sites, like commercial sites like this, to have a solar array, we applied. And we were happy to be the second site. The first site was the college here in town. So we have a very large solar array, and we lease the property. The sisters lease the property to DTE, so they receive some income for this, and DTE gets benefit for having renewable energy here.
So cool.
Yeah.
Again, I just love how it's something that's been here for 177 years. How you guys have just continued to evolve and change with the times to make sure that longevity can continue.
I know,
very,
and
very
one of the
admirable.
things that we had to learn how to do, once the building and the sites were ready and we moved in, we had to learn how to live in a green building.
Well, sure.
And so all of our practices and house cleaning and recycling had to take on a new dimension, because now we have to commit to living that way, cleaning that way. And so we have a campus greening committee, and we have programs in over all the departments in the mother house. For example, using recycled content paper for all of the paper products, using recycled containers when taking things out of the dining room. We don't buy any bottled water at all. We don't serve any bottled water.
I noticed that, like everything is flat porcelain, like everything inside is
all glasses of water. Cleaning supplies. Also, we now use natural product cleaning supplies for this whole building. So a tremendous amount of recycling was done. And it was also required of all the subcontractors that they recycle their waste products, and that they be very careful about specifying what the new products would be, because there's a lot of waste sometimes when they install new things.
Sure.
So that was a requirement in every bid contract, that they had to abide by that very strict requirement, and it was all measured and counted, and approximately probably 50% of the construction waste was recycled.
Wow.
So that was another thing that those companies now are using in their practice with new clients.
So again, something that you kind of broaden the horizons of the community to be lessen their footprint and to be just smarter with the choices.
And to continue to be educators.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is so incredible.
That's in their DNA too.
They are just natural educators.
Exactly, yeah.
That's so great. Thank you so much for taking the time to share this with us, to help expand our horizons and our viewers' horizons.
Right.
And hopefully we can maybe lessen our footprint a little bit as well.
Okay, good. Happy to do it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Next, we've heard about the history. We've heard about this longevity and ecological sustainability. But those two things wouldn't matter near as much if it wasn't for the amazing sisters that have called this place home and dedicated their life to God and to service of the community and beyond. So let's meet one of those sisters right now. All right, first off, Sister Elizabeth, I just want to thank you so much. We are so honored that you took some time out of your day to sit here in this beautiful place and just talk with us a little bit about your life and the years you dedicated to God and to the IHM. I hear you're a local here, correct? From Detroit originally, yes?
Yes. Oh, yes, I am. I am a local. I was born in Detroit, raised in Detroit, worked in Detroit most of my life. And when I retired, I came back to Monroe. I joined the community in 1961. And my community, the community's been residents of Monroe for 177 years.
is
So we have
incredible.
deep roots here, and I have deep roots in Detroit.
I love that. Yeah, so 60 years. That is
60 years.
so incredible. And your profession is teaching, correct?
Yes, I'm a school teacher, and I taught every grade, K through college, because the last part of my teaching, I was a political science teacher, and then I learned the computer and computer languages. And so I brought programs from kindergarten to grade 8 and then into high school. And then finally, I ended up teaching 11 years at Mary Grove.
Wow.
So
So you were able to learn information like computer and coding, and then you were able to bring that to your backyard where you grew up.
absolutely. And it was a real commitment. We who graduated from Holy Redeemer and who were part of the parish, we always took back the gifts that we had because we would have, our start was there and we were so grateful. Which leads me to say how much I value education and how much I know that it helps people who are poor if they can have a good education, real quality education. That's what I had a dedication through most of my life until the schools closed, and that dedication was to really help young people to learn as much as they could and to be people whose lives they continued learning, to be an absolutely continued learner, and then to be able to come back and to share those gifts with the community they grew up in. That's always been a commitment of mine, what I tried to do and what did happen with the wonderful students that I had. But I would have about 200 students a year, and so, it would be pretty
So
easy.
200 students a year, and you've been doing this for over 60 years.
That's right, yes. So,
oh my
yeah.
goodness, the impact you've had. That's incredible.
Yes.
All right, so it's very, very clear your passion for education and your heart for that. But I also know that you're a very big advocate for peacemaking and nonviolence as well. So I was curious if you maybe had a personal experience or if there was a person or maybe a book that kind of awoke that passion within you.
Yes. I always knew that I didn't want to fight, and I don't shrink from conflict. I'm not afraid of conflict. Even when I was little, I didn't shrink from conflict, but I didn't want to hurt people.
Sure.
And so, I got to thinking, and one thing that strikes me is I was born at the time when the Pentagon was open, and it was supposed to be transformed into a hospital at the end of World War II.
Okay.
And maybe my calling was to help that transformation so that we could even have global peace. So I work hard at trying to get an inner peace, and I also work hard at working for for society, for an end of war. And some of the things that I've done, I was very active in Michigan Peace Team, and we would get deep training, and then we would go into a situation of war, and we would try to keep people out of harm's way. You don't take sides. What you do is you just try to keep everybody safe, and use all the skill that you have to try to reduce the violence. Yes, peace is very important. Peace in the home, peace in the cities, peace. We have to end this gun violence. It's awful that you can't send a child to school and not think, oh my God, what's going to happen today? So I know the peace work is very, very important.
It is very important. Everyone needs peace in their lives.
Absolutely.
Just on a basic level. But I do love it being here with all of you sisters. There is such a peace in this place. I know I was chatting with you a little bit earlier, and we talked about how not only do you feel that peace walking down the hallways, but there's also that buzz of energy with the purpose that is still very much here.
Both of those wonderful gifts are here. And yes, indeed, you walk the corridors, come on the beautiful property. It's here, and we share as much as we can. So.
I love that. So I know that your heart is still very much in Detroit as it is here. What does a day look like for you right now? What kind of kind of, I guess not schedule, but I mean, what does your day kind of break down to? Where are you serving? Are you more here now in Monroe? Or are you still going back to Detroit and serving there?
I was able to maintain a job at a place called Crossroads of Michigan. And for many years, for 23 years, I helped to run a soup kitchen. I coordinated a soup kitchen. We fed 1,000 people on a Sunday.
Wow.
And we had teams of 60 people, volunteers would come every Sunday to help us. So I was very involved in that and was asked when I left the work, would I help with research for grants? So I do that every week. And the other job that I do is I work here in Justice, Peace, and Sustainability with our new director, Jennifer Shanke, who's doing a great job, and I'm just glad to help her.
Awesome. So no sounds of retirement. It sounds like anytime soon.
I've really put on a heart of retirement too, though. I do know that I'm here, and I'm here to eventually be retired.
Eventually.
Yeah.
That's way down the road.
It's way down the road, yes.
Well, I love it. This has been so wonderful, getting to know you better, getting to hear about your history and just your passion and love for people. It really is touching. So I really appreciate this time, and I hope to check back here in maybe 5-6 years and see that the work's continued.
Thank you.
And that your passion is still just as lively then as it is now.
Oh, thank you so much. Wonderful to be with you and your team. You have a real good team. So
thank you. I think so too.
Enjoy and love the property, and I hope that you are able to touch people's lives, and they'll come. We welcome folks, and we hope folks will come. So.
Absolutely. I think we'll draw them in.
Oh, good. Okay. Thanks a million.
Our next guest is Sister Margaret Chapman. She is the Leadership Council Treasurer here at the IHM Senior Living Community. She's going to share with us all the amazing opportunities there are for the public, also shine some light on the recent announcement of new ownership. Let's meet her together. All right, Sister Margaret, thank you so much for joining us today and taking a little time out of your day. Some of the amazing things that I have learned in the research for this video is everything that you guys have to offer internally as well as to the public. So I would love if you would just share a little bit of that for people that may not know that's watching.
I'd be glad to, Kristin, and thank you very much for coming to be with us today.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure. We sometimes think of this place as Monroe's best kept secret.
Yes.
Because we keep finding every day that people just don't know what we have to offer here. They see this structure far away from Elm Street, and they think, oh, that's the inner sanctum of the sisters, and it was for a long time. So, but now, for a long time, it seems like it's been open to the public in lots of really wonderful service-oriented ways. So it is called the IHM Senior Living Community now.
Yes.
And that's because we have evolved into what the state calls and everybody else is a continuing care retirement community.
Okay.
Meaning that we offer all levels of care and residence options.
And not just the sisters.
Not just
to
the
the public.
sisters, to the public. We have been since 2013 offering skilled nursing care.
Wow.
And temporary rehab, post knee surgeries or back surgeries or hip surgeries or things like that. We've been licensed since 2013 to provide that kind of care by both Medicare and Medicaid.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a number of beds in that category. Just a few years ago, we licensed our memory care unit.
Wow.
Which we named after one of our former presidents. It's called the McGivney Way, after Mother Teresa McGivney.
Yes.
She was such a gentle, caring person, and that's the kind of care that we're known for providing. So we have a 28-room memory care unit, which is secured, and that's open to the public. That's all private pay. And we also are very close to adding to that 30 plus assisted living rooms as well. Right, we're just waiting anxiously for the state to sign the document.
Oh, exciting.
So that will be offered to the public as well. Within the last 3 years, we've added 19 gorgeous independent living apartments on the west wing.
That amazed me. I want to come live here, honestly.
Yeah.
I had no idea that was here.
Have you seen
I
the
have.
apartment? Yeah, they're
I
pretty,
have. It's
pretty
beautiful.
special.
So
Yeah.
beautiful.
1 and 2 bedroom apartments, and we're a little different from other places that people know in the Detroit area. We don't require that our residents in the independent living purchase their apartments. So they pay an entry fee, and then they pay a monthly maintenance fee as well, and practically everything is included in that monthly maintenance fee. Anything from, security to basic internet to basic cable to 1 meal a day, security, 24-hour security, lots of common space that
Beautiful
they can
common
use
space.
as outdoors and indoors.
Yes.
Exercise room. We don't have a pool, but maybe the new owners
You
will.
got the river. I mean, that's
Right.
What more do you need?
Right, exactly. And so with the addition of those apartments, we kind of completed the full-scale continuing care retirement center. So, and that it's all open to the public.
I love that.
You
And
know?
what is so special that I found that warmed my heart was I met a gentleman here the other day where he was staying, he's still getting around well and doing well. So he was actually staying in one of the apartments, but then his wife required more medical care. So she's here getting the care she needs.
Right.
He has a place and they can see each other every day, just walk across,
Exactly.
have lunch, enjoy I mean, that's so special. For taking care of my grandparents, that would have been so amazing.
And it's all in the same building.
Same place.
They don't even have to go outside
No.
in the winter, So we actually have 2 male residents in the independent apartments whose wives are in memory care.
I love that.
In McGivney Way, and they're over there every day, and I see one of them, taking his wife on walks around the property, and it's
so special.
it is very, very special.
That is
That's
so
for
special.
sure. So
Well,
we think we have a lot to offer.
Absolutely. And I love that we're able to share that with the public. Because again, I don't think they know that. I mean, there's so many opportunities. Another thing that I did want to hit on too while I have you here with
Sure.
me is there was this big announcement just recently made about some new ownership coming on board. Can you share a little bit about that transition and what us as the public have to look forward to?
I would be glad to, and I'll share as much as I know
Sure.
at this point. We have been involved in this process for 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
We knew of looking for a new owner. We knew that with our aging
course.
population and among the sisters, and our background was completely in education for most of our
Absolutely.
existence, and not in healthcare and not in providing senior living care.
Sure.
So we knew from the resource point of view as well that we needed to find a partner. We needed to find a new owner that had the expertise to come in here and take what we have painstakingly provided over the
Yes.
last 20 years in all of our renovation, would take that and take it to a new level.
Absolutely.
And bring their expertise and their experience to play in this market. We were extremely fortunate to find another Catholic organization, so certainly faith-based and not-for-profit, in the senior living business. And they were looking to expand into Michigan. They have kept all of our employees, the sisters, who everybody is concerned about. They're staying. The contract calls for sisters living here in perpetuity. So as long as we have sisters who need care and a place to live, we'll have it. We've been good residents of Monroe for 177 years.
Wow.
And we want that positive reputation to continue, and we feel like our choice of St. Therese will guarantee that.
I love
So,
that. So
yeah.
they're pretty much just some extra muscle that's
They
coming
are.
on to help
They
to
are.
help come along with the vision that's already been started, but make it bigger and better.
Absolutely. And it'll take time, for that to happen.
Well, the best
Hopefully.
transitions are when there's a transition that happens, then people say, well, what transition? And I think you
Oh,
guys have
that's
done
great.
yeah, you guys have done such a great job to make sure it's healthy. You've taken the time, you've vetted the new owners, and I'm excited for you guys. I'm excited
That's
to
great.
see the new things that come to pass and how the public can definitely get on board with you guys.
Absolutely. And we can't wait to welcome more people. I mean, we have 3 apartments that are available now.
Ooh.
Our marketing director, her name is Kristin Davis. So, just call. Just
I
call.
love it. Awesome. Well,
We'll
thank
be
you
good.
so much, Sister Margaret, for
Thank
sharing
you,
with us.
Kristin.
Like I said, I'm super excited to see what
It's
the next
great.
5-10 years have in store.
So are we.
Maybe I'll be back and I'll get an update.
I hope so.
I love it.
All right. See you then.
All right.
Okay.
This Hidden Gem feature is brought to you by Berkshire Hathaway Hudkins Realtors, proudly serving the Monroe community and beyond for over 35 years. Visual creativity provided by local artist Ken Stumpmier.